Hello, fellow second brainers. Today I'm going to do a fresh walkthrough of daily notes, but I'm also going to dig in a little bit to templates and templater. So this one's going to be a longer video and is going to go through some technical details. So let's get started. What I've got here is I've got a vault that is fresh. It's only got 4 folders. There's no other documents in it. And let's start with getting your daily notes set up. And so step 1, let's create, I like to have a folder for my daily notes, and I like to call it daily notes. And on the little gear, we're going to hit the gear. And sure enough, there's a plugin called Daily Notes. So I like to have the files, I like the default naming convention, year, month, day. But where am I going to put that? Whenever I make a new daily note, I want that to end up in this folder. Now, there's no template yet. We're going to come back and do that. But I'm also going to make sure the box is checked that whenever I start up Obsidian, I just want it to kick off a new daily note. And that just makes it easy. It's sort of like a fresh journal page. Works pretty well. So now I've got it. I'm still kind of blank. But if you look, there's this little thing called Open Today's Daily Note. If I click on that, boom, I get a new document. And if I look in the folder, there it is. And it's kind of plain. There's not a lot going on here. We're going to make that way more interesting in about a minute. So to make it more interesting, I want to install one of my first plugins, one of my favorites. Now, there are basic templates, okay? There is a template plugin, and you can create a template folder, and you can do all of this. I'm going to jump right to the advanced one. We're going to go to Community Plugins. You can see it's turned off. This is the default mode to protect you. Is, hey, you take it out of the box, it's safe to use, but what happens if you wander out into the community? Well, you're going to install stuff that the team at Obsidian didn't create, other people created. And one of the first ones I'm going to look for, and you can just see right here is a list by most popular. Excalidraw, I'll do a video on that. Data view, we're going to get into that in a bit. Like, these are millions of downloads. Advanced tables still in use, even though Obsidian has now dramatically improved their table support. But here, this one, number 4 on the list, Templater. 1.5 million downloads as of the time I'm making this video. And we're going to enable this thing. And let's go back to, there's a new community plugin called Templater. Ta-da! Well, first I'm going to need to create a folder where I'm going to keep my templates. I'm going to call it templates, make it nice and simple. In my personal vault, I wasn't that clean because I added this later, and it's a whole big thing. But the next time you do something, you get to make it better. So there, the templates are going to be in this folder. I'm going to allow internal variables. On the desktop, it will do syntax highlighting. You could do that on mobile. I don't spend a lot of time doing that. There's a little function that will actually tell you where you want to put the cursor after the template runs. And this is really important. Trigger Templater on new file creation. So Templater will listen for new file event and replace every command it finds in the new file's content. This makes Templater compatible with other plugins like Daily Note Core plugin or the Calendar plugin. We're going to turn that on because this makes it pretty awesome. And you can even assign certain templates hotkeys, so you fire them off all the time, and it works out pretty well. You can also have a bunch of other stuff, but for right now, what I'm using is, this is enough. We don't have to worry about all these other things like folder templates and startup templates and user scripts. This thing is super powerful. And so one of the very first things we're going to do is make a new folder. We're going to call it Daily Note Template. Ta-da! And I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to refer to my other code, and we're going to copy and paste some stuff in to make this simpler. Okay, so what I pasted in here is some basic template code. And so this basic template code should, when you expand a daily note, when you create a new daily note, should put a couple things into our daily note template. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to delete this daily note. Yep, go ahead and get rid of it because we're gonna recreate it. And I do need to do something else. It's a bit counterintuitive, but I need to say, where is the daily note located? It is here. Which file am I going to use? I'm going to use the daily note template. So the daily note is going to fire up and create this new document, and the templater hasn't done anything yet, and I haven't put any templater code in here. We're going to do that next, but I just want to give you the fundamental mechanics that when I hit open today's daily note, hey, look what I get. I now get this file, but I get in long form September 8th, and I get what day of the week it is. It's a Sunday when I'm recording this. So that makes the note a little bit more friendly. But let's say we want to go to the next step, and we want to put in some what I call navigation buttons. And this is where Templater really shines. I'm going to paste it in here, and I put it in the wrong place. Of course I did. We got to go back to the note template, and we got to put it in the note template. Alrighty. So what do we have here? Well, one of the things that is actually useful for me is I want to know the day number of the year. And that turns out to be a little bit difficult to do using the standard template. It doesn't really do a lot of code. So I put in day of year, and then these things that are double brackets, that's where the standard plugin will expand or replace this with an instruction. But if I use open less than percent greater than, inside of here I can put templater JavaScript. So I'm accessing the moment library. I'm using the name of the file which is a date, and I'm saying reformat this as D. And if you go to moment.js and you look up all their format codes, you'll find out that is the 3-digit number of the year. So it'll tell me what day of the year that is. And I find that's actually kind of a useful hack, because some of the journals or the devotionals I'll read are by day number of the year. It's entry 241. Like, what day is that? Doesn't matter. This thing will tell me what day that is. So I can easily sync up something I'm reading with the actual day and copy notes over. Now let's get to the gold stuff here. What I have here is the same kind of open, less than percent star. It's now going to get a full script. It's now expecting to see JavaScript. And inside of this JavaScript, I've got some comments. Let me remove that distraction because that isn't completely clear. I'm going to assign two variables. I'm creating two variables. And so I'm taking the date of, like, right now, and I'm going to say go one day back. So I'm using date math, and I'm saying using the file title. So when I say the date is now, it's really using now is the name of the file is the way the date is set up. So what it's going to actually do is it's going to give me what is the year, month, day of yesterday. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing to say what is the year, month, day of tomorrow. So the file's title tells me the date of this file, and it's going to give me a well-formatted name for the previous day and the next day. And then I'm going to have it just expand that variable in between double square brackets, which means it will generate a link. And then I like to capture quotes. I have a place for notes. I have a place for my tasks. That's my new template. So let's see how this works in practice. Let's delete that file. Yep, go ahead, crush it. And let's go back to daily note and say open today's daily note. Bang. Now what you have is it's the 252nd day of the year, and I have these navigation links. And these navigation links will allow me to step forward and backward through the days of the year. And believe it or not, that turns out to be really convenient if you are grabbing notes and you're like, from my day note, I'm like, oh, it was 2 days ago. I go click, and I'm on that day. And to demonstrate how useful this is, let's add one more plugin. So we're going to go back to Community Plugins, and this is one of my other favorites, is searching for Community Plugins. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know why it failed to load Community Plugins. Let's hit it again. There we go. And we're going to say calendar. Okay. So you can see calendar, simple calendar widget, 1.3 million downloads. This thing's awesome. So let's put it in there. Let's enable it. And right here it'll be like, hey, what options do you want to set? I want to show you that you can also click here and it will immediately take you to the options. So I start my weeks on a Monday, not a Sunday. I need to see Saturday and Sunday next to each other because of the way my business runs. So I set it that way. And it'll put a little dot to show you like how much content is on each daily page. Confirm. I also want to see week number. It'll give me a format for that. And you can even set up a template for a weekday note, but we're going to leave the rest of this okay. Actually, let's just leave it on for now. We'll come back to that. So now in the upper right-hand corner, I have a new little widget. And so there's my link mentions, there's outgoing links. What is this document linking to? Are there any tags? There's no tags yet. Here's a quick outline, and voila is my new calendar. And you can see that there's a dot for today, and it's under the current highlight, so it's the 8th. But if I click a day that doesn't have a note, it says, do you want to create that daily note? I'm like, yes, I do. And voila, it will use that template we just created for that daily note. And if I click on the navigation, I can step forward. Do I want one for the next day? Yeah, I do. And now I've got one for Monday, and I can leave myself a note that could be, remember to call Steve. But I could put that under task, but you get the idea is that you can actually pick a date in the future and leave yourself a note or a task and say, hey, there's something I need to do on that day, or here's some information that could be relevant. But I use the daily notes as sort of like calendared notes, and this system alone is just so powerful for me because I can pull up my Readwise and find a quote that I like as I'm going through my Readwise reviews. I go, oh man, I really want that. And I'll copy it and I'll paste it into my quote section, or I'll hear a quote and I've got a place to put it. And this becomes sort of my inbox for all my ideas. Ideas tend to start inside the daily note. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of how all this works. What did I do? I use the Daily Note Core plugin. I use a consistent name formatting. I put them in a folder called Daily Notes. And then I use a template stored in the template directory. That template has some basic structure, some simple expansions to give me readable dates, but then I use the plugin Templater that lets me have some of these cool additional functionality, like the ability to do date math. The core template plugin cannot do date math. So this lets me calculate links to previous and next days. I could probably calculate what week of the year it is link. And it ends up being like making my life very simple. And so anytime I create a new daily note, I get these. Now, one caveat I'm going to say is if I create a new daily note by clicking on this link, I do not automatically get the template. It's kind of a bummer. I get an empty file. It's such a drag. What we're going to do is we're going to activate the built-in templates. We're going to give it the templates folder. We're going to leave the date format alone and the time format alone. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit templates, insert a template. Oh man, I hope this works. and we're going to pick daily note template, and it didn't actually do what I hoped it would do. It did its compression, but it didn't really understand that it needed to expand the templater. And so the templater didn't get kicked off the way we wanted it to. It's easy to hit Control A and do this again. If I say templater, open insert modal, and I say daily note, now I get all the cool templaters, but I lose this part. So it's kind of frustrating that doesn't work the way that I want it to work. There's probably a way to figure it out. So my hack is I always use the calendar plugin because it does the file creation and it kicks everything off in the correct order. So I use the calendar exclusively to create new daily notes that are not today. And it's a small thing, but it works. So Obsidian isn't perfect, but these are my automations for my flow. So it's not really fair for me to blame Obsidian. It's more like this kind of complicated interaction between the two pieces. One workaround is I could get rid of this code and replace it all with templater code so that I don't have two template engines running at the same time. That is actually unnecessary, and it's kind of a carryover from the way I used to do things. And how would you go about doing that? Exactly. Well, let's try it. Now, let's do it right now. Let's see if we can make that work. So if I go, I want this string. Okay, so we're going to copy that, stick it down here for a second. Let's replace this with a very similar format, but we're not going to use DDD. We're going to use this string. Okay, and the same thing with this. I don't actually need that. What I need is again the moment string, but I'm going to use, oh, I just lost what I was doing. What was it? Four D's. Okay, so 4 lowercase d's will give me what I want. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Day of the year. So now there's no sort of native quotes in this template. Let's go to the 10th. Let's click on the 9th. And now we should be able to say templater, open insert modal template, put in the daily note, bang. We now have the core functionality, and everything is run through templater. And this should also work here. Everything gets substituted correctly. So now I've simplified it, and you can easily navigate. And if you accidentally, use the link to create a page that doesn't exist, all you have to do is open the templater, open insert modal, which is the shortcut on Mac is Option E. Use your daily note. It did not put it in the correct place. That is super interesting. I know why. This is great. This is great why we're finding this out. What it's doing is there's a setting we missed, and it has to do with files and links. And so the default location for new notes should be the same folder as the current file. So that's an important setting you're going to want to have set up, or you'll end up with that kind of messiness I just had. Let's try it now. Boom. That's where it belongs. It goes in the daily note folder. Now I should be able to say open insert modal, daily note, and voila, we have a correctly formatted daily note. So that gives you a sense of one template system I use to automate something that I use every single day. Every single day I want a new daily note, and I want it structured in a way that makes sense for me for that day. And I've got some quality of life things like I want the date readable, the day of the week, the day of the year visible, and links to future and previous dates so I can easily navigate through or leave myself notes in the future. And I find this to be a very simple, valuable way of creating a workflow for me, because this is my inbox of how I capture information every day. I always have a place to put it. When in doubt, stick it in your daily note.